I still stand by when I said that the majority of the sport of powerlifting is clean. And I said that before, and I had comments ripping me a new asshole saying I'm
Get the fuck up. Simon says, get the fuck up. Throw your hands in the sky.
First question here is, what is the potential of a raw natural lifter? You talked about taking steroids as your ACE card, and I'm extremely close to a 500 bench without drugs. I have a hard time believing that people have benched 600 plus natural. What are your thoughts? I do think that there is a ceiling, for what somebody can lift clean. So the one thing that's been constant in powerlifting since I did my first meet in '83 is nobody likes to think that anybody's stronger than what they are, ever. It's just always kind of been the case. So yes, I do believe that people have benched 600 pounds drug-free. I do believe people may have benched more than that drug-free. I've seen multiple lifters over the years that I thought were on shit. I didn't just think, I was convinced that they were because of the numbers that they were lifting and the titles that they were winning. And I couldn't ever understand why they would bullshit me, because they didn't really have a reason, because it wasn't like I'm gonna go spread their names across the internet or tell everybody what they're taking or any of that kind of stuff. It was confusing to me. I really didn't understand it. So I just kind of thought they were a bunch of fucking dicks that didn't want to be honest, at least in the private sector. I don't think people need to go posting online if they take shit or not. It's still illegal, and it's still drug tested in some federations. So what I learned from that was, after having 6 or 7 or 8 all-time top 1 to 3 lifters approach me and say, hey man, I think it's about time that I try to go on. What are your thoughts? And I'm never gonna really talk anybody in it. I'm never gonna talk anybody out of it, but I'll answer questions personally that they have, to help them make a better informed decision. Meanwhile, I'm thinking it the whole time, like, why are you fucking with me? And in every single one of the cases, each one of them ended up putting 200 to 300 pounds on their total within the next 6 or 7 months. And I kind of learned from that, anytime somebody tells me that they're drug-free, I'm believing them, because while they still could be lying, I think that's going to be less of the case than otherwise. Most of the time, I think it's true. I know of other people that were breaking all-time world records, 2 people specifically, that I know were drug-free, and they didn't want to say they were drug-free because they lifted in open federations. They didn't want to say that they were drug-free because they didn't want to deal with everybody thinking that they were full of shit. So they just kept it to themselves. And most of the other guys I was talking about kind of did the same thing. And this was another person I'm like, oh, there's no way. And then, years later, we find out that he actually was drug-free. So I guess the point I'm trying to make here is, people have the right genetic potential. They can lift things that are just unbelievable. And because somebody's stronger than what you are, just to assume that they're taking drugs is a bad mistake, in my opinion. I still stand by when I said that the majority of the sport of powerlifting is clean. And I said that before, and I had comments ripping me a new asshole saying I'm full of shit, emails telling me I was full of shit. And here's what I don't think people understand. If there's 20 or 30,000 total powerlifters in the US, you can't tell me that 80 to 90% of all of them are on drugs, because if that's the case, look at the top 50 or the top 100 list, and look at number 50 and look at number 100 and tell me that those numbers can't get hit drug-free. they most certainly can. And a lot of the times on a lot of those lists, by the time you get down to 50 and a little bit deeper into it, if people need to take drugs to lift 400 pounds at 165, you know, squat, then then they really, really suck, you know? So the majority are not on shit. That's just, to me, it's just a fact. And if you use common sense and you think about it and you look at the top 50 list and you look at the lifters that are out there and go to a meet, you know, go to a local meet and look at all the lifters and tell me that all of them or the majority of them are on shit. There's just no fucking way. And now are the top 20%, top 10%? Probably. You know, that I would agree the majority are. But sometimes that's all people see are the top 10 or 20% lifters, and they're forming an opinion based upon everything else or based upon, you know, federations that they don't lift in as well. So that's my takeaway, is I think a lot of people get on shit way too soon because they think that they've hit a genetic limit, which I don't think somebody should get on anything or even consider thinking about it until they've overcome those major sticking points at least once or twice on their total. Because taking shit, yes, it will get you stronger, but you're still gonna run into the same sticking points and you're still gonna have to figure out how to overcome them. Just taking drugs isn't gonna make you total 2,000 pounds or 2,100 pounds or, you know, it will increase your total, but it's not gonna make you the best. What makes you the best is learning how to overcome those sticking points with your total. And to fall back on my belief that there's a genetic ceiling, I do believe that. I don't think anybody will disagree with me on that, but where I have a difference of opinion is I don't think anybody's ever really hitting it, because in sports, there's more to the competition day and more to your performance than just the training. I mean, you got to put all that shit together. So if somebody is drug-free and they've been training for 10 years, even with that, I would say out of a decade of competing, if you're competing twice a year, you might have 2, maybe 3 meets that you would look back on and say everything went right. And that's if you're really fucking lucky. I mean, that's normally not the case. Usually, you know, something's gonna happen, you're gonna get injured, a lift's not gonna go the way it's supposed to go, one lift's gonna peak before the other one. There's all these other factors that kind of come into play. So even if you are at your genetic limit, I'm pretty sure that you haven't put it all together on that day yet. So even being at that limit, you can probably still sneak another 100 pounds, maybe more on your total, just by putting everything together right and going into the meet as healthy as you possibly can. So there's still room to play when you're dealing with this genetic ceiling. When I've spoken to other people, when they talk about a genetic ceiling, they're always making the assumption that the lifters peaked properly, you know, everything dialed in properly, and their performance was 100% solid on that day. That's rare. So I don't see that being the case.